Hello dear students, this is Raksha Shetty and you're watching Edubassa, your homely learning channel. So in the last video we learned about the introduction part of control and coordination, the nervous system and the structure of neuron, reflex action, reflex arc. So today in this video we'll be concentrating on the next part of the chapter control and coordination, which is human brain, and it is very important topic for your 10th bio examination. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So these are the contents of today's video. We'll be discussing about the interaction part of it, the main parts of brain, about the cranium, and how the information takes up to the muscle sense and how they will react. So first about the interaction part of it. The center of coordination of all body activities is nothing but the brain. So brain acts as the main boss, just like at your school. So the principal will be the main boss, isn't it? Under him, your teachers will be working, and even the clerks and all will be working, isn't it? Under his guidance, the teachers, the clerks, and other employers will be working. The same way, the brain is the main boss of our body, and the brain controls and coordinates all of the body activities. All of the body activities is controlled by that of the brain. So it is involved in the thinking, it is involved in the memory, and it is involved in the emotions as well as the voluntary actions. Now, what do you mean by voluntary action? So voluntary action is nothing but the actions you're performing using, after thinking. For example, if your teacher tells you to write something, you will think and then you will write, isn't it? Isn't it? So it is not a sudden activity that is taking place. You think and you perform. So willingly you will perform. So that is basically voluntary actions. Okay. So the brain is involved in all these things. The brain plus spinal cord is equal to central nervous system, which we have already discussed. There are two systems. One is central nervous system as well as peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system includes the spinal cord, whereas the spinal cord as well as brain, and the peripheral nervous system includes the nerves. You can see over here in this picture. So this is the peripheral nervous system. The nerves are present throughout the body, isn't it? So the nerve impulse is carried through these nerves. So it is connected to the spinal cord as well as to that of the brain. So spinal cord, if the nerves is connected to the spinal cord, then it is called as spinal nerve, and if it is connected to the brain, then it is called as cranial nerve. You can see over here, cranial nerve. So this is the cranial nerves. This is the cranial nerves. Okay. So if the nerves are connected to that of the spinal cord, then it is called as spinal nerve. If the nerves are connected to that of the brain, then it is called as cranial nerve. Yeah. Okay. So this is about it. So whatever the information that is taken up by the nerves will be passed to the spinal cord as well as the brain. That's why the nerve is connected to the brain as well as to that of the spinal cord. So this brain will receive the information, it will integrate the information, it will understand the information, and it will reply back. It will make the decision accordingly to the information from the whole body. From the whole body, it will receive the information and then it will integrate the information and respond accordingly. Fine, this is the introduction part of it. So the next is important main parts of the brain. So there are three main parts of the brain: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. So basically there are three parts of the brain: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Let us learn one by one. So this is the diagram of the brain, which is very important, very important. You can see, isn't it? This is the brain. So how your brain looks like, it is exactly this. Okay, so you can see over here, isn't it? This front part is nothing but the forebrain. Okay, and you can see this. So this is the midbrain. This is the midbrain, middle part, and this behind region is called as hindbrain. This behind region is called as hindbrain. So we'll be learning about its parts in short. Okay, so talking about the forebrain, so forebrain has this part. Can you see over here? So this is the largest part of the brain, isn't it? So this is the largest part of the brain, and this is nothing but we call it as cerebrum. What do we call it as? Cerebrum. It is the largest part. Obviously, it is Since it is the largest part of the brain is mainly important for what purpose? The thinking purpose, isn't it? So it does the main activity, which is nothing but the thinking as well as the decision making. The decision making. So it will mix up the old information, it will mix up the old information plus new information, it will understand and then makes the decision accordingly. So this is the function of the cerebrum, which is nothing but the thinking. Just imagine there is you will just smell the leakage of LPG, liquid petroleum gas. Okay, so what happens? You already have what experienced the smell of that particular LPG earlier, so you already have the old information in your brain. So now again you will be smelling the same what smell, so you will be knowing how the old information will mix with that of the new information, and you will understand, you will understand, you will think, and you will understand. So from that understanding you will know that this smell is of LPG and I need to go and off the stove, isn't it? It is a dangerous smell and I need to do something quickly, isn't it? So that is how you respond, that is how the information from the brain is sent for you to run and use your hand to off the stuff. Clear? So that is what is going to happen in this case. So one more part is hypothalamus of the forebrain. So this hypothalamus helps for controlling of if you are feeling hungry, if you are feeling sleepy, or if your tummy is full. Okay, so all this is controlled by the hypothalamus part of it. Hypothalamus part of it. I hope it is clear. Okay, so let us learn with the help of the slide. So first is about the forebrain. It is the main thinking part of the brain, as I discussed. So it is the main thinking part of the brain, and it receives the sensory impulses from the receptors. Receptors we have already learned. If you don't know, please check my previous video. So receptors, from the receptors you will take up the information from the sensory organs, isn't it? To where? To the brain. Why? To think, isn't it? So there is specialized areas in the forebrain to take up the information of the hearing, to take up the information of the smell, to take up the information of the sight. Okay, so there is specialized areas for hearing, smell as well as sight. So as we discussed, cerebrum is the largest part of the brain, and it will control the mental abilities such as reasoning, emotions as well as voluntary actions. Voluntary actions in the sense the actions you perform after thinking, isn't it? Yes, yes. And it is a center of hunger and fullness. Which one? Hypothalamus, isn't it? Hypothalamus controls if you are hungry, if you are sleepy, if your tummy is full. All this is controlled by that of the hypothalamus part of it. I hope this is clear. So without further ado, next slide. We'll be moving to the next slide. Yes. So the next part is midbrain. So it controls certain involuntary actions. What do you mean by involuntary actions? Voluntary actions, I have told you. What? You think and you act. What is involuntary actions then? So suddenly what actions will be taking place? You do not think, you are not doing it willingly. For example, pupil size, for example, blood pressure, salivation, vomiting. So it is not controlled by you, it happens, isn't it? When the food is kept in front of you, the saliva from your mouth will be flown, isn't it? Protruded. So that is what that is basically the involuntary actions. So it controls the involuntary actions such as pupil size. Which one? Midbrain. And it works with the hindbrain. The main function of the hindbrain is controlling the blood pressure, salivation as well as vomiting. So it works with the hindbrain for this purpose as well. Yes. So the next one is hindbrain. So it is the last part of the brain. So hindbrain includes three main parts. One is medulla, one more is cerebellum, and one more is pons. Okay, medulla, cerebellum, and pons. Medulla. It controls the involuntary actions like blood pressure, salivation, and vomiting. I have already discussed what is involuntary actions, right? So the blood pressure, saliva, vomiting, all this is controlled by the medulla part of the hindbrain, which also includes the digestion. Digestion is controlled by that. What else? Heartbeat is controlled by that. Breathing is controlled by that. Okay, so all this is controlled by the medulla part of it. Cerebellum, it basically controls the posture as well as the balance. Just imagine a pen has been fallen down and you have to pick that pen. What you will do? Obviously, you will bend and pick the pen, isn't it? You will change your posture, isn't it? So that is controlled by that of the cerebellum. Clear? So if you are balancing the scooter, if you are balancing the bicycle, what you have to do, the balance is important. That is controlled by the cerebellum part of it. Clear? What else? What else? If you have to move in a straight line, yes, that is also controlled by the cerebellum part of it. Sitting, standing, bending, clear. So that is controlled by the cerebellum. The balancing as well as the posture is controlled by the cerebellum part of it. So there's one more part called as pons, which basically coordinates the signal between the brain regions. Between the brain regions, whatever the signals is there, that is been coordinated by that of this region. This part called as pons. I will show you in the diagram where these regions are present. So cerebrum, which is the forebrain part, this is the cerebrum. Okay, you can see here, this is the hypothalamus, which we already discussed, and the midbrain is here. So you can see the pons is here, the medulla is here, and the cerebellum part is here. These are the parts of the which brain? Hindbrain. I hope it is clear here. Pons, medulla, and cerebellum. Clear? Yes. So while looking at this videos, you can see one more part over here. What is this? This is nothing but the cranium. What is this? Cranium or the skull? Cranium or the skull. What it helps for? So the brain is very important for you, isn't it? Without brain you cannot, yes, survive in the sense the information is controlled and coordinated by the main part, which is the brain, isn't it? So the brain is very, very, very important. So without brain you will not sense things, basically, isn't it? You will not get the information, basically. Okay, so for that it has to be protected, am I right? So protection is done by the part called as skull, or simply we call it as cranium. Now within this skull there is a fluid. That fluid is called as cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, you can see spinal cord over here. So when the brain is protected, even the spinal cord is protected. Spinal cord is important for your reflex actions, sudden actions, isn't it? So that is also important. So in order to protect us from the dangerous situation, the spinal cord is very, very important, because of the spinal cord we can undergo reflex actions, isn't it? Yes. So it is also protected by a vertebral column. What do we call it as? Vertebral column, or simply we call it as backbone. Simply we call it as backbone. Okay, the spinal cord is protected by the vertebral column or the backbone, whereas the brain is protected by the cranium or the skull, which includes a liquid called as cerebrospinal fluid. So we will look into that slide first. So how are these tissues protected? You know the brain is delicate, and you know it is very important for controlling the body activities. So it is protected inside a bony box that is called as skull or cranium. You have seen, isn't it? Why does this help? This helps to protect our brain. So it is surrounded by a fluid. What is that fluid called? Cerebrospinal fluid. So this cerebrospinal fluid protects from the injury as well as the shock absorption. Okay, protects the brain from the injury as well as shock absorption. Just imagine you're going to sit in a hard chair. What happens? Your backbone will be hurt because it is very hard, isn't it? So what happens? Just imagine there is a cushion in that chair or the pillow in the chair, and you will sit. What happens? You will feel comfortable. The same way, this fluid, cerebrospinal fluid, that is how it is going to protect your brain. Clear? Yes. Then the spinal cord, as we have discussed, is protected by the vertebral column or backbone. We simply call it as backbone. So the last part of this chapter, that is how nervous tissue causes action. How the nervous tissue causes action. So you know how the information is sent, so how the reflex action takes place, all of that you have understood. How the information is sent to the spinal cord, how the information is sent to the brain, everything you have understood. Now, how does the action is caused? How do you remove your hand or something? How it is going to take place, you are going to learn here. See, the muscles, isn't it? What happens? The information, then the nerve impulse. Just imagine this is nerve impulse. When this nerve impulse in the sense the information is sent to the muscles. Just imagine this is muscles. When it is sent to the muscles, there will be muscle cells. So these muscle cells will be having a specific protein. They will be having specific protein. So this specific protein will be having some definite shape as well as arrangement. But as soon as they take up the nerve impulse, as soon as they take up the information, they will shorten. They will shorten. When all these nerve cells become small, entire muscles contracts, entire muscle also becomes small in the sense it will contract, isn't it? As soon as the nerve impulse reaches, what happens, the protein will, whatever the special type of protein which is present in the muscle cells, they will change their arrangement. They change their arrangement and become small. As soon as when the muscle cells become small, entire muscles will contract, and later it comes back to the original position and then it will relax. So that is how what the movement is taking place. See, muscles work by changing their shapes. They shorten or contract. The special proteins in muscle cells change arrangement in response to electrical impulse. As soon as they receive the electrical impulse, what electrical impulse is? It electrical impulse, from the neuron you have understood electrical impulse, electrochemical impulse, isn't it? As soon as they receive the electrical impulse, the special proteins, they change their arrangement. They will become short and contract. So as the arrangement change, the makes the muscles contract, producing the movement. What happens? That leads to the movement. So that is about it um, regarding the chapter which is about the brain. So we'll revise once again so you will know it better. So first, talking about the introduction part of it. So the brain is the main coordinating system. So it is involved in thinking, memory, emotions, as well as voluntary actions. Voluntary actions in the sense you do it willingly. So there are two systems: central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system includes brain as well as spinal cord, whereas peripheral nervous system includes the nerves. So the nerves from the throughout the body is connected to that of the spinal as well as to that of the brain. So one which is connected to the spinal cord is called as spinal nerve, and one which is connected to that of the brain is called as cranial nerve. What else? And it receives, it integrates as well as responds to the information from the whole of the body. So basically there are three main parts of the brain: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. So talking about the forebrain has a main part called as cerebrum over here, which helps for the main thinking purpose, decision making purpose. And there is hypothalamus if you are hungry, if you are sleepy, or if you are full. I'm sorry, this is hypothalamus one. If you are hungry, if you are sleepy, if you are full, that basically controls it. Okay. And there is this midbrain region and there is this hindbrain region. So basically this entire brain is important. We have learned all of this, isn't it? Talking about the midbrain, it controls certain involuntary actions. For example, the pupil's eyes, it works with the hindbrain. In the case of the blood pressure, salivation, vomiting, it is again the involuntary actions. Hindbrain, there are three regions: medulla, cerebellum, and pons. Medulla, it will control the involuntary actions: blood pressure, salivation, vomiting, digestion, heartbeat as well as breathing. Cerebellum, it controls the posture as well as the balance and the precision of the voluntary actions. Pons, it coordinates the signals between the different brain regions. It is going to coordinate the signals. Then next, how the tissues are protected. The tissues are protected by the brain is protected by the cranium or the skull. So in between there is a fluid called a cerebrospinal fluid, which protects the brain from the shock absorption or any sort of injury. Spinal cord is also protected by the vertebral column or the backbone. And how the nervous tissue causes the action: the nerve impulse passes to that of the muscle cells, and as soon as the nerve impulse is reached to that of the muscle cells, all of the muscle cells will become shortened. When they shorten, the entire muscles will contract, and then again it will come back to the original position, because which is going to change the arrangement, that is a special type of protein which is present in the muscle cells. Yes, that is about it for today. Thank you. So I have added this quote here: just remember, your brain is your greatest power, so kindly use it very well. So that's it for today. Let's meet again in the next video. So until then, please do not forget to like, share and subscribe. So please keep watching, keep learning, and main importantly, enjoy while learning. So see you. Bye bye.